competitor appearing above you when somebody Googles your name. In this video, I'll show you how to run a Google brand campaign right way, step by step. Stop wasting our budget and protect your most valuable traffic. Guys, if you have worked hard on building your brand and you notice when you type in your brand name, the competitor ads are appearing above your brand name, then they could be poaching your traffic. They could be stealing your revenue, guys. So it's really, really important if your company is big enough that you have a brand protection campaign on Google to ensure that competitors don't steal your valuable traffic. So stick around, guys, we're going to get into it today. So guys, in today's video, you will learn why brand campaigns matter even if you're ranking #1 on Google, the exact settings that we use for every one of our clients, how to avoid wasting spend on non-buyers, and setup tips for your own brand protection campaigns so that you can set these things up for yourself and your business. So guys, grab your coffees and grab your hats. It's time to spit up some ad magic. Woo. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some examples, okay? So here's a really nice example of a brand protection campaign, protecting the brand when we type in the name of the company, that the top post is a sponsored post, and it is the name of that company, okay? The second post is also the name of that company. So we have to ensure that we are taking up real estate on Google, okay? If you have a name, a brand name that is getting highly searched, there's a very good likelihood that other competitors are bidding for your brand name so that they can show their ad above yours. Now, how do we set this up, guys? Well, it's super simple, actually. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the Google Ads Manager. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up a brand protection campaign. Gentlemen, we are here in the Google Ad Manager, and I'm going to show you some best tips and tricks on how to set up your brand protection campaign, along with some best practice little hacks that will make your Google brand protection campaign sing like the birds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is a campaign that we've set up before for one of our clients already. Here's some of the total results that we've seen since then: 3,500 clicks, spent just over 4K on ad spend in total. And this overview section of the campaign is a very interesting data point to look at because what we can see here is some data around our brand protection campaign. And I just wanted to point this out because there are some additional sections that we can pay attention to here that I would look at to see how it's performing and what other things that we could do better. Now, the first thing that I wanted to show you was the searches. Okay, so the top searches and words within searches where people saw your ads. Okay, I'm going to go through when we set up our brand protection campaign. I'm going to show you exactly the type of keywords that we need to add in here. But these are some of the searches that people are using if you press all searches here in order to find your ad. Okay, to find the brand protection ad. And then here is another section called Auction Insights. Okay, and here we have a number of different options to be able to see the data around search impression share. Now, search impression share means how close you are to the top of the page. Okay, you want high impression share, right? You want it as close to 100% as possible. And here you can see some other competitors that are bidding for your spaces. So it's really interesting. I just wanted to point this out because you need to pay attention to this to see and make sure that your competitors are not stealing your top spot. And this is an interesting space in which you can watch that. Now, under the keywords, here you can see what keywords are being spent the most on, just a little snapshot. And within a brand protection campaign, obviously you want your brand terms coming in as #1 here. So for this particular client, we've got the brand name, and then we've got two versions of the brand name of how to say that. This is a doctor, so we're saying his first name and then the doctor name. And then also another keyword that we're tapping into is the name of the clinic or surgery as well. All of these need fortifying and need a defensive strategy so that your competitors do not steal your well-valued traffic. Now guys, I'm going to go through how to set up a brand protection campaign from scratch. This is what you will see after your brand protection campaign has been running for a little while. You will see a lot of these insights, but if you have not yet created your campaign, this is what we're going to do right now. Actually, the first thing that we need to do is if you do have any other campaigns running currently, we need to ensure that the branded search terms aren't appearing in those campaigns. Now, how do we do that? So what we need to do is under the campaign settings, go then to keywords. And what we can do here is that we can add negative keywords. And what you need to do in your search campaign is navigate down to the search terms section. And if you see any of your brand names or add any of your brand key terms in this section of your other search campaign, here is where we need to add it as a negative keyword. Okay, the reason that we do this on a search campaign is to focus all of our branded keywords on the branded keyword campaign, so we're not cross-bidding on different campaigns for the same thing. If you're running a Google Performance Max campaign, you will need to do the same thing, not as a negative keyword, but what you need to do is include this as a brand exclusion. So in the brand exclusion section, so
that is just a reminder that if you have a PMAX campaign, that you also need to add in your brand key terms as a brand into the brand exclusion list. But guys, now we're going to go and create our brand protection campaign from scratch. I'm going to show you step by step how to set up your Google Ads brand protection campaign. So first of all, we want to click up here to the top left-hand corner where it says create. You're going to press on create and you're going to press campaign. And what we're going to do when we choose our objective here, guys, is one of two things. One, if you have your website set up for lead generation or for sales, then you might want to choose that as your objective. Okay, as people come to your website, you want them to take action. But what we tend to do quite a lot of the time is we create a campaign without any guidance. And then what we do is when we select a campaign type, here we're going to press search. Now, the way to think about this is search, a brand protected search is great for defense, okay? A performance PMAX campaign is great for discovery, and a demand gen is great for remarketing. Now, you wouldn't necessarily have these campaigns with your branded search terms, but you may want to use these as part of your funnel as well. In terms of the defense strategy, the branded keyword search terms, we're going to be using a search campaign for our brand protection campaign. Here, you're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom and you're going to choose the either conversion event, or if you don't want to choose a conversion event, then you're going to add in your website. And if you have phone calls connected here, this is where you'd also add in the phone calls section. But here, we're just going to add in the website. We're going to press continue, and then we're going to type in a campaign name. So now the bidding strategy, guys. And what we're going to do here is we're going to choose one of two options, okay? And I encourage and endorse you testing this, because typically what we might want to do here in terms of the best practice is optimize for search impression share to the top of the search engine page. Okay, and here we can select what type of results we want, right? We want, in this case, in a brand protection campaign, you always want your brand protection campaign to appear at the very top. So what we're going to do here is press absolute top of results page for this setting. And here for the percentage of impression share to target, what you might do is typically you want at least 90% and above. So what I'm going to do here is type in 90%, and then you're going to type in your CPC bid limit. Now, what I would recommend here is that you will want to change this and experiment around with this. The idea here is that you want to enter a maximum bid. Typically, you would enter a higher bid here, because you want to outbid everybody for this search term and you want to appear at the top. Okay, so you want to make sure that you select absolute top of results page. If you just select top of results page, that's only the top 4 listings, and you want the absolute top result. Okay, if somebody types in your brand name, then you want to be at the absolute top. So I'm going to type in £2 as a beginning CPC bid limit, but we could put in £10, for example, and then let Google go and do the optimization around it. We want to have the maximum bid for cost per clicks so that none of our competitors appear above our ads and none of our competitors steal our well-valued traffic. Now, this comes as a caveat, guys, because actually something that we've learned and something that we do quite a lot. So this is a very typical example. I would highly recommend also testing out maximize conversion value or maximize the number of conversions. The reason that we do this is because we can typically sometimes see better results and appear at the top of the results page by using this particular bidding strategy. So typically it is a search impression share that you want to optimize for. But what we do and have tested for before is maximize number of conversions. Okay, we haven't set a target cost per action. We say, hey, the maximum number of conversions is what we want to focus on in our bidding. I highly encourage, if you're not seeing results under the impression share bidding, that you turn that campaign off and try doing a campaign with maximize for conversions, because you might find that this is going to work better for you. Okay, here under where it says bid for new customers only, you don't really want to capture all the traffic that comes to you if it's repeat visitors or not. So I'm just going to press next for now and leave that where it is. For networks, guys, this is another little tip or trick. What I would do is just keep it completely Google centralized. So under this particular section, I would switch both of these off, search network and display network off, so that everything is focused on Google. Here, then you'd enter the locations that you want to target. What I would typically do, unless you're really focused on one specific area, that anybody in the world could be typing in your brand name. And one of two tests that you might like to try is one, just focusing on the country that you're targeting. This would be highly worth doing. And then potentially in a separate ad group in this particular campaign, you might want to do one with all countries and territories. What I'm going to do now for this demonstration is just focus on the target area that we want to focus on, but also worth testing all countries and territories to ensure that anybody in the world, no matter where they are, They type in your brand's name and that a competitor is not stealing your traffic. Okay, so then we scroll down. We can leave languages as they are, as this is already English. When it comes to audiences, we can leave that as it is. What you want to do is not have the broad match keywords for your entire campaign turned on. In a minute, it's very important that we do not use broad match keywords in this campaign. This campaign is really specific to your specific keywords. So we're going to use exacts and a little bit of phrase in this account setup. We do not want to use broad, so we're going to make sure this is turned off. Under automatically created assets, I also typically turn this off. I have a lot of control over what's going on here. So if you're using this and you're getting good results from it, right now I typically have things turned off. Under ad settings, you can go into this in more detail, but I'm going to leave everything as standard here and press next. And what Google has created is the ability to type in your website URL and it's going to generate us ad assets, headline copy, description copy, all those nice things based on our website and the homepage that we're targeting. So what I would typically always recommend in this brand protection campaign is to have your ads targeting the homepage. I'm going to type in the homepage here and press add assets. And what we can do is press here, get keyword suggestions. And what Google is going to do is going to scan our website, give us a lot of suggestions. Okay. And we're going to go through here to see what kind of keywords it suggests.
But before we go anywhere else, any new here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss any more important updates. We're here many times a week to help business owners, online advertisers, and digital marketeers get the best from their online advertising, paid media, and digital marketing strategies. But without further ado, let's get on with the video.
Now, all of these are very loose, and actually I'm going to remove all of these because none of them have our brand name, and that is actually the thing that we need to focus on the most. I'm going to delete all of these because the suggestions aren't to our liking, and to enter the correct keywords here. Here is a roundup of the different match types and how things are typed in. So if you just want broad match, you just type in the keyword. If you want a phrase match, you type in the keyword in quotes. And if you want exact match, you use square brackets. So what we need to do here, guys, is use exact match, and we're going to type in the name of our brand. This means if anybody types in the exact name of our brand, our ad will appear above it. If there are any other brand names that you'd use, I'd also put these as exact. And then, guys, what we want to do is we want to experiment around a little bit. We want to add exact match in here, but also a little bit of phrase. And the reason that we use phrase match here as well is because somebody could be typing in your brand name and then some additional keywords around it. For example, pricing, or if you have a login portal on your website, that it might be your brand name and login, for example, right? So we want to be able to capture anything that somebody types in to do with your brand name. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use phrase match. So we're going to open up with a little quote, and then we're going to type in our brand name like we have here. As a default standard, this is a good setup to try for now, and we can build these out over time to include additional keywords as the campaign starts running and as we see some data coming in. Very interesting to keep a look at on this. So this is, as a standard, very typical for a brand protection campaign, that we're using exact and phrase match around the brand keywords, so that if somebody types in the exact brand keywords or your brand keyword with an additional phrase, that we are capturing that traffic to ensure that our ad appears on top. Now, guys, we've added in our key terms. We're going to scroll down and we're going to create our ad. Now, there's a number of best practices that I would highly encourage here. The first thing is the first headline that you want to have, you want to make sure that it's pinned, and you want to make sure is the name of your brand. It's very important that the name of your brand is the first headline and is pinned so that we can pin it into position 1 so that your brand name always appears in the top left-hand corner of the ad. Super important, and a top tip there to get the best results out of these campaigns. So we've pinned that, and now what we want to do is you want to have lots of headline copies and lots of description copies around your core products and services. Are there any sales that you're currently having? Is there any promotions that you're currently having? You would want to add that in here as headline text and description text. And under business name, obviously you want to enter in your business name. You have your logos in and things like this. Another section that I would definitely recommend looking at here is the site link section. Now, the site link section is sometimes overlooked, and what I would highly recommend doing in the site link section is to add in areas that are very important to the business. The way to think about this could be that you use 2 site links for your best performing products or services to drive traffic there and to provide links straight to those service pages or product pages. And then 2 of the site links you can use for any new services that you want to promote. Any new services that people might not know about or that you're looking to push a little bit, you can use 2 of those site links potentially to promote the new services. So you have 2 site links for best performing elements of the business, and then 2 site links for new services or products that you want to promote and push to make people aware of. And site links are great. Obviously, you may know this, but they all appear underneath the ad as additional layers of education and information for people to go and click around some additional topics of this. Okay, so you create the site link, text, description line, and final URL, and all these things, and the site links are displayed here at the bottom. So really important to have this, guys, in your brand protection campaign as well. It will direct people to all elements of your website very easily and very nicely. And that is it, guys. Okay, you scroll all the way down to the bottom after your ad has been created, you press save, and you get to the budget section, guys. And this is an important part because what I'd recommend is typically only spending maybe 10 to 20% of your overall budget on a brand protection campaign. So this is a very small budget, but we want to make sure that it's there just to defend any of our traffic. If somebody, for example, has a competitor campaign and they're looking to run their ads on their competitor websites, for example, yours, you want to make sure that your defense campaign is there and capturing that traffic. Typically, you will see that your brand protection campaign is probably one of the best performing campaigns in your whole Google ad stack. The reason for this is because the intent is already there and there's already people looking to take action on your brand search terms when they're clicking on there. And so that's why typically you'll see slightly higher results for a brand protection campaign because the intent of the user is higher. But it's important to have those because if you don't, then your competitor could be stealing that traffic, your high intent traffic. And that is not good. Okay, so experiment around a little bit with the budgets. Here it says £19.48 as a recommended daily. You might want to set it as a little bit lower and just test and see how much it's spending. You may want to reduce this depending on the volume of traffic that your business generates. If somebody types in, for example, Coca-Cola, that's a huge brand term, right? And then you're getting lots of searches with Coca-Cola. However, if you're a smaller business, then really look at how much people are typing in your brand name and how much you need to fortify your defensive strategies around these things. So then you go to next, go to review and hit go, and your campaign will be live. All right, guys, done that. I'm going to go through some best practices to ensure that your Google search brand protection campaign is optimized the best. Okay, what tips do I recommend? First of all, we need to ensure that we have no broad key matches. When you click on the campaign, you click on keywords, you need to make sure there are no broad match types here. Broad match type is wrong for a brand protection campaign. You don't need broad, okay? You need exact and potentially some phrase, okay? So that's rule number 1, is make sure that you don't have any broad match types in here. Don't forget to include, sometimes if you have a login portal or something like this, you want to include additional keywords like login or customer service or contacts, okay? And we can add those in as well, okay? Don't forget, there's a lot of times that these kind of additional keywords are missing from a brand protection campaign, but super, super important that we include those. And what else I'd recommend is eventually turning your campaign to adjusting the bidding strategy, okay? So that you're optimizing for search impression share. I'm going to link a video down in the top right-hand corner. If you have one of these brand protection campaigns running, but you're still not number 1 in that search position, super important for brand protection that you are number 1 in the search results. If you are not ranking number 1, there could be a number of reasons, and I've made another video as to why your Google ad might not be appearing at the top. So click out that card over there to go and explore and learn how to do that. But what I would recommend doing is starting off the campaign like this and eventually moving it to target impression share, because that's what we need to optimize around for your Google ad to appear at the top of the ranking. And ultimately, if somebody types in your brand name, you need your ad at the very top. That's exactly what we need to do to ensure that our brand is protected. Okay, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd love to hear how you are implementing these Google brand protection campaigns. Like I said, super important. If you have enough traffic, if people are typing in your brand name, if you go on the keyword research tool and you see people are typing in your brand name and you know that you are getting organic traffic, really important that at that point you set up a brand protection campaign. If people are typing in your business name, other people could be poaching your traffic, and that is really bad because typically when somebody's typing in your brand name, they're further down the customer conversion journey, going from consideration to decision stage. And when they're at decision stage, we need to make sure that we're capitalizing on that traffic and that somebody else isn't a competitor isn't coming in and poaching our really hot traffic that's really ready to take action, right? So super important, guys, to protect our position on the Google search engine using ads. Hit me, comment down below if you got any questions. Woo! Now, one thing, guys, now some tips and tricks, guys, that I really want to go through before the video finishes. I'll quickly reel off some amazing tips and hacks that will make this very successful for you. The main thing to remember is just because you're ranking #1, potentially organically on Google SEO, doesn't mean that you're going to be the first link available. And that's why this brand protection campaign is so important, because even if you're ranking #1, you want to also have the #1 ranking ad on there. Okay, the ads appear above the organic SEO rankings, so it's very important that we have our ads appearing above those. Some other things to bear in mind is typically you will see a higher click-through rate, okay, with your brand protection campaign. Like I mentioned before, there is a higher intent on search here. If somebody types in your name, your brand name, that obviously the click-through rate of the brand, of them clicking on your brand name, will be quite high. And typically you will see this campaign perform stronger and better versus other campaigns. Now, what you want to do as an ongoing optimization piece is to ensure that you're checking the search terms report and to build out any negative keyword term lists, that if you see, for example, people coming in with certain search terms that aren't to do with your brand, that you add them into as an exclusion. Click here and then you add them as a negative keyword list, okay? Or if there are any new ones, that you add them in as a keyword to your ad. That is something that you will have to do as an ongoing optimization. Just a little tip. Make sure you keep checking on this, guys. Very important. Now, what will typically happen is that the ad relevancy scores will be a lot higher for this, because if, for example, a competitor is bidding for your branded search term, the ad relevancy score won't be very high there, because your branded key terms aren't on their homepage, but your branded key terms are on your homepage. So when you promote your branded search term ad on your branded search term, the ad relevancy score will be really high. Therefore, Google will prefer to list your ad above any others because the ad relevancy score is really high. Your competitors who are using your keywords to direct to their homepage is going to be a lot less relevant in Google's eyes, right? Unless they create a bespoke landing page around your brand keywords. So ultimately, because your ad relevancy score will be higher, this will also favor you better to have your defensive strategy. It's just a little caveat note there. Ultimately, if users can't find your website and a competitor has got their ad when they typed in your brand search term, you could lose your highly valued traffic to your competitor. Okay, and that cannot happen, guys. Users who cannot easily find your website might end up going to a competitor website, and that's why it's really important to have this campaign set up with all the best practices that I'd recommend to get the maximum out of your Google Ads brand protection campaign. So, guys, that's how you set that up.
And guys, the Wizard team has something super special planned for all of you guys and the community. Join the waitlist down below. If you are interested in receiving some updates from the Ad Wizard themselves and for your tools, stay tuned. And thank you so much for all the support. Click the link down below, join the waitlist, and we'll see you there. And that's it for today, guys. Hit me a comment down below if you are using Google brand protection campaigns, or if you're skipping it. If you're choosing to skip it, I'd love to hear why, guys. Don't forget to run those brand ads if you need to set them up correctly. So hopefully now you have a really good understanding as to how to set up your Google brand protection campaign. If you are noticing that competitors are stealing your traffic, it's really important that we set this up. So hit me a comment down below if you got any questions. And if you'd like to learn how to run a search campaign, okay, I go through a step-by-step tutorial in this video over here, so you know how to set up a Google search campaign for your ads. I'm your boy Jerry the Ad Wizard. You can catch me on LinkedIn at Jerry Griffiths, on Instagram and as Jerry Ad Wizard, and at Jerry Dreadlocks everywhere else. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your boy Jerry the Ad Wizard, and wherever you are in the world, I bid you peace and love and a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.